Hey YouTube, Townhouse Gardener here. Just thought I'd do a quick update. As you can see, my stuff in the back, on the back fence, is just massive. I'm having to do some adjustments to things and just thought I would show a few things. So, quick update. Nothing has really changed with my boxes here. I trimmed back my cinnamon basil all the way to the bottom because it ended up having like one shoot coming out the center and two side shoots kind of looking like this. So the center one was very woody and just a lot of stems, so I cut that one off and this is what I'm left with. So, and the center stem was looking kind of yellow too, so this looks a whole lot better. Let me see, everything's still the same with that. My sunflower's getting taller, that's in my box. My corn is doing great. Starting to get some really good size on it. The stems are getting real thick. My beans here are doing awesome. I haven't been able to hook them to the strings yet, but hopefully soon. These are actually starting to get some heads on them too. Squash plant. I'm getting squash all the time. Came out yesterday. My sister was in town and asked if she could have some, and of course, she can. And I'm always trying to give these away. And this one plant, I thought I had like one squash on it, and I ended up cutting like 4 or 5 of them off. And I come out this morning, and I've already got a few extra that are pretty much gonna be ready in a couple days. So I have that. My cucumbers back here that I planted about a week and a half ago, they're all coming up. My loofah has made it to the top of the cage. Both sides are at the string now. Hopefully it'll start coming up, and as it gets maybe to about fence level, hopefully then it'll really start to take off because it's going to get so much more sun. So it gets right here. The sun comes up this way, so the sun hits this plant I don't know, maybe around 10:30, 11, and then it has the afternoon sun, so it has a lot of sun. And this plant is looking yellow. I don't know what the deal is. The leaves really aren't looking very good. I gotta prune these off. But up here, these ones look fine. But down here, they don't look good at all. So I need to get these ones off where it's close to the ground anyway, because I ended up moving my bucket away from the shed. Because what was happening, if you can see here, there is like a trench, because it was coming off of my roof line, dripping straight down into my bucket, which I think it was just splashing up so much. So I'm thinking that's what it was. So I moved the bucket out. I gotta move it out a little bit more, and I just put some Epsom salts on it this morning. So I'm gonna let that water in, and then hopefully it'll take off. But once this one gets taller, it'll be good too. It only gets morning sun up until maybe 1 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock. Everything here is doing fine. I actually have blueberries. I didn't think I was gonna get any. I pulled 2 of them off that were yesterday, that were blue. There's no more that are ripe. Brussels sprouts, sunflowers. This sunflower is actually getting really tall. It's maybe 6.5 feet or so at this point. What I had to do for adjustments, my back wall is so full right now. I just have so much on it. So I ended up, my cable was really starting to sag and pull in my side posts. So I ended up I have these tie-down straps, but these straps are rated for like 300 pounds, something like that. So I had one on each side, but it seemed like it was pulling more, and I just needed to pull it back, and it seemed like the tie-downs were almost gonna snap when I was doing so. And I had these heavier duty ones. Here is the first one, and then here's the second one. It's a whole lot thicker. So I ended up I was gonna just put the thicker one on and take the second one off, And then I just realized just might as well leave it. It's not hurting anything and just have that much more support. So I pulled these back some and now it's doing better. It's not sagging so much. But as just a reference, this post right here is 8 feet tall. So when you go over, I don't know how well this is picking up. There you go. When you go over, this is just under 8 feet tall now, this tomato plant. Down here, I was doing just single stem. I was cutting them off, doing good. And then I ended up starting to go, and maybe about right here, I have, like, this is a sucker that's coming out and up. I have other ones that I'm just letting go. I want to do a tomato tree. I don't know if I've said that in the past, but it's something that I'm really interested in doing. So, figured might as well do it. This plant is definitely good enough. I mean, the stem is just so thick. It's easily the size of my thumb. And I did notice that on these cherry tomatoes, I thought that they would go, they're pretty thick. I thought they would go over and then just stop. But if you can, I don't know how well this is gonna show. Pretty much this stem comes over, and then the end of it, a whole new like sucker came out of it. And now that's what's coming up here, and I have more blossoms. So I'm just draining it, letting it go. I figured it doesn't really hurt anything. Although I haven't gotten any ripe tomatoes yet, so I might want to cut it off just that way some of these can ripen. But whatever, it doesn't hurt anything, and it's all experiment. So there is this, my super tall. My peppers are doing awesome. These are my Marconis. I have 3 of them that are getting some good size to them. I got my Anaheims, which are doing good. Everything really is doing awesome overall. My cucumbers, I just cut off, it is Sunday morning. I just cut off on like Friday, I think 12 or 13 of them. And so I probably cut a total of maybe 18 cucumbers so far. And like I said, it was Sunday when I did this. And I have all these other cucumbers already that are getting ready. They're going to be ready in a couple days. So the ones that probably about 12 of them, I pickled them. I speared most of them. And then some of them I did just normal straight slices, chips. And in a couple jars, because I had some jalapenos that were ready. As you can see, some of my jalapenos down here. I had some that were just big enough to harvest. So I took them and I cut them up and put them in the same jar as the cucumbers in hopes just to make some zesty ones. So there's that. But they're above my fence line now, some of them. So this cable is sagging. So in the center is about just over 7 feet, maybe 7 feet 3 inches type of a thing, just because it's sagging, and this is right in the center. So just as a reference, that cable is just over 7 feet. So these are easily at 6 feet right now, a little bit over. My Rutgers down here, this is my only Rutgers. It topped itself off, and I'm just leaving it because these tomatoes look really good. They're getting some really good size. The plant looks super healthy, so I'm just letting it be. My Brandywines over here, I was doing the single stem method, and then I've just kind of let them do whatever they want, and I'm just stringing them up as they come. But as you can see, I gotta string up some more, like, because this whole stem is a whole new one that I haven't, nothing is supported. Same thing with this back one, but I got some great looking tomatoes. So they're getting pretty big. These are Brandywines. Over here, my basil. In the back, my marigold plant has gotten huge, which is now covering my oregano, which is dying off. So, I don't know, I either need to decide quick, either cut the marigold out, trim it back, or just playing on my oregano plant dying. So my purple basil over here, this was the one that I got real cheap. It's come to life great. I've been actually trimming it to hopefully give it some fuller growth, and it's got a really distinct smell and taste to it, which is pretty cool. Sunflowers, this stem is pretty thick and it has all these sunflowers on it. I was expecting to have one giant sunflower at the top, and then all of a sudden I found out I have all of these little ones, which is interesting. And then this plant, same exact thing, but here, I'll give you as a reference. It's not quite wider than my thumb. It's thick, but not quite wider than my thumb. This one is about the same width as my thumb. So it's a thicker stem, especially down at the bottom. And it is just now starting to get a head developing. And this one has got a head developing too. So we're just gonna kind of let it go. Corn, I showed the squash already. My edamame soybeans, I'm gonna harvest them soon, I think. I don't really know when they're gonna be ready, but here's my sugar baby watermelon. It is about ready for me to start stringing up. The problem though is I only have this mason string, which does great for these pepper plants that aren't gonna have a whole lot of weight on them. The tomato plants, I have multiple strings on them. Cucumbers don't get super heavy, especially when I keep harvesting them, so I don't let a lot of weight develop on it. But these watermelons, I'm afraid that if I use just the normal mason string, the strings are gonna break. So I just need to get to Home Depot or something. I'm gonna see about getting some baler twine. There's a Southern States store around, which I kind of prefer going to them over Home Depot, just because it seems like things are cheaper. Like they have a 4 cubic yard bag of vermiculite for like $22. I went to a nursery and it was like $35, and you can get a 4 cubic bag for like $22 there. I just think that's an awesome price. So I want to get a bag of that, but I also want to get some baler twine and just attach it to the side of the bucket, and then hopefully this will just start climbing up and attach to my string. So we'll see. One other thing, my cucumber, like my tomato, I'm gonna let it just bush out at the top. I'm gonna let it just lay on top of my wires. My cucumbers here, I give it maybe another week and a half, 2 weeks, and they're gonna be at the top easily because they grow so fast. So I'm gonna let them start getting to the top and turning down. I'm gonna put string connecting it to the wires in front of it and going down, and it's definitely gonna look like a jungle out here. Hopefully my strings my wires are 12 to 18 inches wide. So hopefully if it's just one cucumber plant going down, it's not gonna be so thick that it's gonna cover all of the sun and shade everything else out. It should be all right. Worst comes to worst, I trim them off. So, or I just train them to go up and then back down again. So we'll see. But anyway, oh, here is my cilantro that I planted too. It's all coming up. So here's my garden update. It is Sunday the 23rd. My air conditioning unit came on, and here's my update. Thanks for watching, everybody.